Hello, welcome again to Varsity Sports Live. Live just a couple minutes before midnight here, Central Time in our Sioux Falls studio. Tom Neiman along with Jason and Dara. Jody Norstedt standing by in Fargo with all of tonight's North Dakota highlights and scores. Jason, fresh off a couple of games in the Rushmore Bowl in Rapid City.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting night all the way around. South Dakota-wise, the first time we've seen 11 AA teams take on 11 A teams, and we'll kind of keep a track record of how those 11 AA teams did.
They didn't do very well. Well, some of them did, but there were a half dozen games, and half of them went one way, half went the other. Let's go to the scoreboards in South Dakota. Sioux Falls Roosevelt, the number one team, the big schools. They get by Lincoln tonight. Lincoln hung with them, but the Riders are 2-0 after the 35-17 win. Harrisburg is 2-0. They led this game 21-0. They hold on to beat Sioux Falls Washington 28-15. Highlights of that game coming up. Brandon Valley and Sioux Falls O'Gorman will play on Saturday in the Dakota Bowl. Aberdeen Central, the game you just saw, finishing up here on Midco Sports Network. They hang on to beat Rapid City Central 20-18. So both of those teams, Aberdeen Central gets its first win of the year. Rapid City Stevens in the opening game of the Rushmore Bowl tonight over Watertown 40-12. Michael Norman, 3 touchdown catches in that game for the Raiders. Brookings, this is one of those A versus AA matchups we were just talking about. Brookings, a couple of touchdown runs for Carter Item. Parker Rikos, touchdown 29-6. Brookings is 2-0 on the season. Sioux Falls Christian beats Mitchell tonight on a score with about 5 minutes to go. Back and forth ball game there. We'll have some highlights of that one coming up as Christian is off to a 2-0 start. Pierre knocks off West Central. The Governors, the defending champions in 11 AA, 46-6 tonight in that game.
2-2 so far by my math.
2-2 in these
How
matchups.
11 AA is doing against A.
Here's another one right here. Yankton and Dakota Valley. Dakota Valley outscores Yankton 46-34. Yankton drops to 1-1. Dakota Valley, after that loss last week, they roll 46-34 over the Yankton Bucks. Madison gets by Canton tonight. Madison is 2-0. Tyler Tappy with 3 touchdown passes in that game. We'll have some highlights coming up. T Area is 2-0. Joey Hedrick, 2 touchdowns on the ground as T gets by Vermilion, 36-6 the final in that one. So the Titans, number 1 in their class, are 2-0 on the season. In 11B, Bridgewater-emery, Ethan, the defending champions. They are 3-0 now, 41-0 tonight over Sioux Valley. Highlights of that one coming up as well. Winner, 50-point rule at halftime in this one as they beat Woonsocket Westing Springs Sanborn Central 54-0. St. Thomas More is an 11B team. They knock off Sturgis tonight 27-8. Ryder Kirsch with a couple of touchdown passes for the Cavaliers.
2-4 for 11 AA teams against other classes.
9-man tonight. Bonham led Woolsey Wessington 30-6 at halftime. Woolsey Wessington came back, made it 30-28, but Bonham hangs on and wins 37-36. Sully Buttes, number 1 in 9A, rolled tonight over Potter County 3-0. Sully Buttes off to a good start.
What a night. I have to mention Grant Johnson, 3 interceptions on defense for Sully Buttes. Another big night for Jet Lamb and Nick Whitler.
Canastota Freeman is a winner tonight, 58-6 over Oldham Ramona Rutland as Canastota Freeman gets to 3-0. Coleman Egan 50-0 over Castlewood. Coleman Egan is off to a 3-0 start in 9B. And one of their final, Huron, here's another one of those matchups. Huron beats Millbank 33-20. Apparently this game was tied at 20. Huron scored a touchdown with less than a second to go. And then Millbank took the kickoff, tried to do the lateral thing. Huron picked that off and took it in for another touchdown. So the Tigers scored 2 touchdowns in less than a second at the end of the game to win it 33-20.
But it moves 11 AA up to 3-4.
Right. All right, in North Dakota tonight, again, Jody Norstedt standing by with highlights. Bismarck Century off to a 2-0 start as they get by West Fargo tonight, 31-0. West Fargo Cheyenne is 2-0, 28-14 tonight over Minot. It was Fargo South, 39-21 over Bismarck Legacy. The Bruins are off to a 2-0 start. Davies evens out at 1-1. Davies over Mandan, 36-26. Bismarck High drops to 0-2 to start the season. Grand Forks Red River outscores them tonight, 44-35. So the Demons are 0-2. Fargo Shanley is 2-0 in their move up to the big class in North Dakota as they beat Jamestown tonight, 44-27. Williston is 2-0. The Coyotes 33-8 over Grand Forks Central. Dickinson evens out at 1-1 as the Midgets beat Fargo North 12-0. In 2A, Beulah is 2-0 as the Miners get by Devils Lake 36-6 tonight. Hillsborough Central Valley is 2-0 with that win over Watford City. Also AA, Valley City falls at Bismarck St. Mary's as St. Mary's comes back, and they beat Valley City tonight 41-0. Moving on to some of the other North Dakota scores we get back here with Langdon, Edmore Munich 65-6 tonight over Park Area. So the Cardinals are off to a 3-0 start. Oaks is 2-0 with the win over Hatton-Northwood this evening. In Class A, Bishop Ryan is 3-0 with a win over Kenmare tonight 49-6. It was Velva getting to 2-0 with a win over South Prairie. Also in Class A, Thompson moving up to Class A this year, and they are off to a 2-0 start, 34-9 over Ellendale Edgeley Cullum. Shiloh Christian is off to a 3-0 start as the Skyhawks win 39-14 tonight. And in 9-man football in North Dakota, a couple scores there. New Rockford Cheyenne is 3-0. The Rockets over the Woodchucks this evening. And Mayport, the Patriots off to a 3-0 start in 9-man play as they roll up 100 points total in that game. All of the other scores on the ticker there at the bottom of the screen. And let's get up to North Dakota, West Fargo, and Jody Norstead is standing by late night as well. Jody, take it away for the North Dakota highlights this evening.
Yeah, I missed you guys. So glad to be back on the show. Last week I was out in Bismarck. So
Good to see you, brother.
Let's start with the top team in Class 3A. Bismarck Century coming off a blowout Week 1 win over state-ranked Davies. What could the Pats do for an encore against West Fargo? First meeting between these two programs since the state semifinals in 2016, the year Century went on to win a second straight title. Cade Feeney had 4 touchdowns last week. Century with a 3-0 lead in the second. Feeney, under a lot of pressure, gets it to Skylar Reedinger, who bobbles it. This play is called a catch and a fumble. Packers recover. Patriots force a turnover on the next drive. Nick Kroom rushes off the edge, hits the QB, and the ball is out. Connor Stordahl pounces on it, so turnovers everywhere. That sets up Century with great field position. Feeney doing what he does best, sneaking it in. 10-0 at the half. Patriots flex their muscle in this one in the second half and win it 31-0. So Century off to a 2-0 start, looking like the real deal. Garcia with 3 rushing scores. Second-ranked Sheyenne looked like the real deal last week, topping defending state champ Bismarck High live on our airwaves. Tonight, the Mustangs broke in their brand new field against Minot. Cheyenne debuting that beautiful new turf, but Jackson Gunville calls his own number. And Minot's up. Barika Penu, though, keeps his concentration. Circus catch. A few plays later, Grant Workentine keeps it on the triple option, and it's 7-7 at the half. Cheyenne working with a short field. Penu is going to high step it to the house for 3 yards. Check him. He is very, very speedy. People who tuned in last week got to see him kind of dominate a little bit on the outside. After a few penalties backed him up, Workentine finds Logan Wood in the end zone to convert a 4th and goal from the 27. It's 28-7. But Minot not backing down. Gunville finds Tegan Kinchin, who dances around and breaks a tackle. Whoop! Slips by the defender, has Terhark skating backwards, and he gets into the end zone. But after Cheyenne scored on another short run, Alex Erlob picks off Gunville to secure the win for the Mustangs. Erlob had that huge 102-yard pick six last week, and he adds to his defensive gems tonight, sealing up a 28-14 win. Let's hear from him after that big win, a double-up score for the Mustangs at home.
We started a little slow, obviously, but after the halftime, coach got us going, and we brought it to him that half. Our offense got going. We struggled a little bit in the middle of the second half there, but we kept going and we finished. Felt good. I mean, just to do it for my family and get down right away, that's the only thing. We were winning that game now with that interception, so I just got down, got on the ground, and sealed it up.
3 interceptions in 2 games for that young man. 2 of the state's best players going head-to-head. UND commit Elijah Klein and Mandan against Davies Ty Satter, an NDSU commit. Mandan open for revenge after Davies knocked him out of the playoffs last year. Reed Hartness, Davies QB, gets the scoring started on the keeper. They keep rolling on the road. Ethan Ensey on the end around for a 9-yard score. Davies up 14-zip after the first quarter. Mandan gets on the board in the second. Get used to this. Dane Carlson feeling the pressure, but finds his big man. You probably shouldn't leave Elijah Klein open. Cutting the lead to 14-8. Then it's Carlson playing Houdini on this next play. He's in the pocket, and spins away from the defender and then finds the big 6'7" man Klein again in the back of the end zone. Davies, though, still up 22-14 at half to the third. Game plan, doesn't change much for the Braves here. Carlson, you guessed it, 3 straight highlights of Klein catching touchdowns. That one over Satter, the lead is cut to 2, but Davies keeps its lead. Harkness, well, where does he go on this play? Well, he's going to the end zone. 14 yards for the score. It's 28-20. Davies, Mandan returns the ensuing kickoff for an 83-yard touchdown, but they can't get the 2-pointer, so Davies still leads by 2, and now 6 more. Harkness into the end zone again. He's a dual threat QB. Davies wins an absolute battle out in Mandan, though. 36-26, the Eagles get back on the winning track against a ranked team.
It was a game plan. We knew how their defense covered us, so we just wanted to run the ball well, and O-line did a hell of a job, so it worked out well.
Well, Fargo South blanked Dickinson last week on the road. Tonight, the third-ranked Bruins playing Legacy for the first time in program history. South gets on the board first. Danny Lahai was injured for much of last year. Boy, he's going to be an impact player this year. Weaves his way through. Bruins up 7-0. Halfway through the second now, Rhett Clemens buys time, rolls to his right and finds Lyric Hoffman wide open. And watch Hoffman cut back across the field. Self can't tackle him, and we're all tied at 7. Bruins get the ball back and take advantage. Peyton Kessel with a perfect throw to Bless Flomo. If it rhymes, it's just fine. A 31-yard strike makes it 14-7 Bruins. After a block punt to start the second half, Kessel finds Flomo again. Boy, a juggling catch right into your living room. 21-7 Bruins. Sabres have an impressive answer, though. Ben Morwolf gets to the edge, scampers in from 13 yards out, makes it a one-possession game. But the Bruins start to pull away from there. This time, Kessel airs it out to Jamal Spivey. This team is loaded with playmakers. Here's another great touchdown catch. 27-14 South. The Bruins tack on 2 more scores and go on to win it. 39-21. Fargo South putting a stamp on there. They are now 2-0. That graphic is incorrect. 2-0 for the Bruins here now. Well, the 2 new members of 3A squaring off at Sid Cichy Stadium. Shanley hosting Jamestown. Rematch from last year's terrific Class 2A semifinals. Shanley coming off that big win over St. Mary's to open the year. Jamestown blanked North 7-zip last week. Blue Jays sending a message early. Tommy Falk on the keeper, fights across the goal line, makes it 7-0. Final minute of the first. Shanley ties it up. Cooper Mattern fakes the handoff, and he's also going to fake the cameraman, which, yes, it was me. Carter Kochman, 70 yards to the house. He has some burners. I remember seeing it on a touchdown run in the state title game last year. Deacons, well, they have a strong kicker, too. Emmett Kenny was splitting the uprights all night for Troy Mattern's team. This one is true from 43 yards away. Yeah, we're giving some kickers some love on Varsity Sports Live. The junior getting it done. Tough moment for Jamestown. Playmaker Jeremy Williams takes the reverse. He's hit down low. A first-team All-State pick last year. Ended the game on crutches. Deacon's offense threatening midway through the second. Mattern to last week's star, Carson Dean. Dean cuts all the way across the field. Scores his 3rd touchdown of the season. Home team up 17-7. Ensuing drive. Jamestown needs a response, and this won't work. Jackson Lyer reads it like a book. Nothing but green in front of him. That makes it 24-7. Jamestown mounted a late rally, but too late. Shanley holds on for the 44-27 win to move to 2-0.
Our pass rushing was key in this game. Me and the other DN and our nose were really getting after it early in the game and putting pressure on the quarterback and making sure he got the ball out of his hands quick. I feel like we made a statement so far, but we've got a lot to work on. As you can see tonight, we didn't finish how we wanted to finish. We got a lot to work on, but no, we're definitely here, and we're definitely here to compete.
Shanley has a big one against South next week. 2 teams still searching for a first win. Red River taking on Bismarck in game 2 of a doubleheader at Cushman. First meeting between the two since 2015. Rough Riders start the scoring out. Parker Monet scrambles, finds Bryce Enerson in the end zone. 7-zip home team, but the Demons come back with 2 quick scores of their own. Lucas Miller rushes in for his 2nd touchdown of the night with 3 minutes left in the first. Bismarck up 14-7. Fans are happy there after making the trip. Monet rolls to his right, slings it 20 yards to Brady Dvorak. Rough Riders up 6. They led 35-28 at the break. Forget about defense. After halftime, the Demons let a snap get over their head. It's a safety. Mark Gibson not happy about that. It's 37-28 Red River. Same score, 8 minutes left in the game. Monet lets it fly to Enerson again. Riders up by 9, 44-35. Making their push with 2 minutes left. Cade Rolfs goes deep down the sideline, but it's intercepted by Parker Monet. Yes, he can catch two. That would seal the game for Red River, who comes away with a 44-35 win over Bismarck. Get this, it's the Rough Riders' first victory over the Demons since 1991.
It was amazing, honestly. I don't know the last time we put up 40 points, and then second half our defense was on fire. It was really fun to be a part of. It's going to show that we can compete with any team in the state, obviously, and it's going to give our guys a lot of confidence. It's just going to be a great year from here on out.
Well, St. Mary's had a week to stew over its loss to Shanley. The Saints hoping to take their frustration out on Valley City. Saints marching down the field. Drew Dosh hits a swing pass to Jackson Wiseman, who is a wise man, finding the end zone. Saints up 7-zip. After a turnover by the Highliners, the Saints go back to work. Dosh this time will throw it a little bit farther. Play action. Wiseman backpedaling catch, and now he's front pedaling to the end zone. 14-0. Same score in the second. Dosh again. Play action. This time he's going to give it to the fullback, Mark Horner. Big Blue 2-4 rumbling your way. The Saints roll in this one, 41-10, getting the first win on Schmierker Field. The number 2 team in Class A, Oaks, had a bye last week. Tonight, the 1-0 Tornadoes visiting 1-1 Hatton-Northwood, a couple of 9-man teams from last year, still adjusting to the extra bodies. First quarter, Tornado moves in the form of senior Logan Sell, who breaks a few tackles, busted to the outside. Sell is in, Oaks up 6-0. Later in the quarter, the Tornado is still happening. Sell is still happening. He's going to muscle his way in. It's a 13-zip lead. Advance to the second, and Sell goes for the trifecta. His third rushing touchdown of the evening is going to give Oaks a commanding 20-0 lead. Good work by the guys up front. Oaks rolls to the 43-14 win. They aren't going anywhere in the state polls. Thompson taking a 13-game winning streak into its showdown with Ellendale Edgeley Cullum tonight. Tommies with a 26-3 lead to start the second half, and the Demons would do their part to hold on to the lead. Cole Mathern rolls to the right, launches this pass, but it's going to be picked off by Sam Roller. Roller, who picks up a few yards after the interception. It's a big play there. Tommy's still with a big lead in this game, but Ellendale Edgeley Cullum hangs around in this one. In the fourth, it's Mathern taking the QB sneak in for the score. Extra point no good, so the Tommies still up 26-9, but in the lasting minutes, Roller puts the game on roller skates. His third touchdown of the evening puts a stamp on this victory. Thompson improves to 2-0 with a 34-9 win over the Thunder.
I think it was pretty good overall, but we had quite a few moments where we slowed down, and we can't have those. So we're going to hope to fix those in the future and just have a great game overall every time.
Shiloh Christian, another one of those teams that moved up. They're 2-0, receiving votes after making that move to Class A. Skyhawks going against Richardson Taylor Hebron. We go to the very end of the second with the Raiders up 1. Fourth down is Zayden Schmellenberger looking at Braden Kuhn, who jumps the route, and Kuhn is going untouched. A pick six. Skyhawks get themselves a 13-7 lead over the Raiders. Ensuing kickoff, Raiders not ending this half without a fight as Britton Paulson will scoop up the squib kick, and he's gone down the sidelines for the touchdown right before the half. Shiloh pulls away in half two, though, for the 39-14 win. So the Skyhawks looking impressive early on in this season, off to a 3-0 start. To the 9-man ranks, number 3 MAYPORT CG, the home of this week's game ball winner, Sawyer Satcham. Sawyer welcoming his older brother Sammy back. Sammy broke the school's all-time rushing record 2 weeks ago, and he's running on this play for the game's first touchdown. He missed last week with the injury. He goes 68 yards. He looks just fine. MAYPORT CG up 8-0 after the two-pointer. Ensuing kickoff, Skylar Keller. Well, he's going to take it all the way back. Look out for this nasty stiff arm. Mr. Keller, that's not fair. Hankinson goes for 2, gets it to tie the game at 8 apiece. But back to Sammy Satcham. He's trying to make up for lost time, right? After missing last week's game, and Boy, who's ready for a shootout? Satcham pulling away from the defenders. It's 14-8. Here comes Hankinson again, though. Chase Evans does a little disappearing act. Oh, there's Chase. And the defenders are trying to chase him down. It's not going to happen. And it's tied at 14. We're back to Satcham. Sammy, in particular, takes a handoff from his brother, and he is just stiff-arming and running, and he is very, very fast. Two-point conversion is good. Patriots go up 22-14. And then, how about the younger brother's turn? Sawyer, our game ball winner from this past week because he was absolutely on fire. 5 touchdowns in last week's game. This goes 45 yards for the touchdown. The home team wins the shootout tonight, 54-36 to improve to 3-0. So Mayport CG looking like one of the top 9-man teams out there right now. But guys, big wins in the 3A level. Century keeps on rolling. They shut out West Fargo tonight. Shanley moves to 2-0. Red River, how about that? First time since '91 that they beat Bismarck. A big win up there in Grand Forks for the Rough Riders.
Yeah, great win for also Shanley tonight. That's the question, Jody. Can Shanley, in their first year in the big school class, can they hang this year with the rest of everybody else?
Well, on their record right now, they have a win over a 2A team, albeit a really darn good 2A team in St. Mary's, and a victory over Jamestown. They looked a little bit sluggish in the second half. They're going to need to be a lot better next week. The big test comes next week against Fargo South, who is ranked number 3 in last week's state poll, and they're 2-0 as well.
All right, thanks, Joe. We'll get back to you a little bit later with some more post-game from North Dakota tonight. All right, when we come back on Varsity Sports Live, South Dakota highlights coming up. Sioux Falls Roosevelt looked good tonight. So did Harrisburg. So did Rapid City Stevens. So did Pierce. So did Sioux Falls Christian. All those highlights coming up when we come back.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics, South Dakota State University, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live here on a Friday night, week 3 of the high school football season in the Dakotas. Jandy had the Rushmore Bowl in Rapid City tonight. Pretty good game, really 2 good games out there tonight.
Well, some good performances, and we learned a lot about those 4 teams who all came in with a week 1 loss, came in week 2 and played a lot differently. So, yeah, we learned a lot.
Rapid City Stevens got by Watertown, and then Aberdeen Central hung on to beat Rapid City Central in that second game, and we'll look at those here in a minute. But let's start in Sioux Falls at Howard Wood Field with Roosevelt, who beat Brandon Valley last week in their opener. Sioux Falls Lincoln got a win over Watertown in the opening game last week, and they faced off tonight. Riders with Michael Paulson from Brady Dannenbring. And it's 7-0 Roosevelt out to the lead. They get out to a 14-0 lead on a Brady Dannenbring touchdown run. And it looks like they're going to roll here, Jason.
I was curious how this offense would do against a good defense in Lincoln. And they got out and they put some points on the board. But how about Isaiah Robinson? He's going to have a great year.
Yeah, Patriots came back with a quick drive there, cut the lead to 14-7. But just before the half, Tyree Nave breaks off a long one.
It's so weird watching Roosevelt run the football like this with a running back who's done such a great job so far this year.
So it was 21-7, but Tommy Thompson goes to Logan Needles here, and the Patriots get in position. They get a Sam Siegel field goal, and it's 21-10. Roosevelt in the lead at halftime.
My daughter.
Third quarter, Jandy. Tommy Thompson they blocked the punt there, and then this is Thompson to Luke Smith for a touchdown. Makes it 21-17.
Yeah, this is a ball game at this point. We figured, some people thought this would be close, but this Roosevelt offense has so many weapons, and this is what I wanted to see from Brady Dannenbring for a long time. Buying time and making plays down the field.
Yeah, great move there. Tyler Feldkamp with a touchdown. 28-17 at the end of the third quarter. They got a Roosevelt interception from Nathan Moon to shut off the drive, and then Feldkamp with a late touchdown there. And the Riders never give up the lead. They go on and win it 35-17. So Roosevelt is 2-0. They've got O'Gorman coming up next. Lincoln falls to 1-1. Washington coming up for them.
And that pulls Kim Nelson within 1 win of Steve Keeter's all-time record. He could tie it next week against O'Gorman.
All right, Riders get the win. Here's some postgame from the victorious Roosevelt players.
I thought we did a really good job on offense and on defense. I mean, our offense really picked it up tonight opposed to last week. I think we did a great job getting to our playmakers and being able to rely on our O-line when we started getting down the stretch, and I thought we had a great overall team win.
Secondary, we had some problems. We'll get back in the film room, just do the little things right, and build on it for next week.
Lincoln hung with them. Lincoln looked very tough, but Roosevelt, as you said, they're just solid at every position. 2 good wins. They beat Brandon Valley last week, and now they get by Lincoln.
And I wondered how they'd bounce back after beating the #1 team in the state, the consensus #1 team, the state champions, and maybe have a little letdown this week. Not the case. Brady Dannenbrink, very impressive.
Roosevelt looks like the team to beat. But Harrisburg moved up to 11-3A this year. The Tigers beat Rapid City Central in their close game last week. Washington shut out Aberdeen Central, but it was all Harrisburg early on. Jacob Knuth started at quarterback. Their sophomore Jason goes to Jay Rowert, 7-0 Tigers.
So they start the sophomore, but this is a dual, not a dual threat, a dual quarterback system. Knuth got off to an awesome start, 3 touchdowns in the first half, but he shared time in the backfield with Jack Tigan. Crazy situation.
It was already 21-0. Luke Behrens with a touchdown to get Washington on the board. So it's 21-7 at halftime. And then a big interception here. That's Rowert.
Oh boy.
In the end zone. He doesn't take that back to score, but he shuts off a Warriors drive there. But Washington stays close. They get another touchdown run from Behrens here in the third quarter. Makes it 21-13 after it was 21-0, but about 11 minutes left. Here's Jack Teagan. It's Rowert. Rowert takes it in. 28-13 at this point. Still about 10 minutes left. Tigers gave up his safety, but they hang on. They get out to that early lead, and they win it 28-15.
You see both quarterbacks did a great job. Knuth put up some big numbers this week. Last week, Tigan got all the touchdown passes. This week, Knuth did. And they just talk about it being such a team effort.
Big numbers for Max Thompson as the quarterback for Washington, but they fall to 1-1. Harrisburg is 2-0. Here was game 1 of the Rushmore Bowl tonight. Watertown and Rapid City Stevens. Jacob DeSmet with a pick 6 early for the Raiders, and they get out to the early lead, and then...
Well, defense is really what set this team apart. They had so much pressure up the middle. No comfortable throws all night for Watertown, and give credit to what the Rapid City Stevens Raiders did on defense, but they converted those opportunities on offense with short fields all night.
Colton Hartford to Michael Norman. Norman had a big night for the Raiders.
I was trying to count his catches throughout the game. I literally lost track.
Yeah, he didn't play last week. Came back this week. Raiders got out to a 13-0 lead. More defense. Hartford went to Norman 3 times for touchdowns. It was 20-0. Brandon Smith went to Dawson Schmidt for Watertown's first touchdown, but Bridger Nesbitt with a touchdown catch. The hat trick for Michael Norman with 3 receiving touchdowns. 40-12 is the final.
And after the game, Michael Norman was excited to get back on the winning track.
It was all about culture, and we needed to change the culture, and we have very new things. We've implemented a lot to our offense and new things to our defense, and they're working out a lot, and the new coach is really changing the culture and helping us out and pushing us to who we really are.
Out of culture.
Steve Svensson is their coach this year, and he's had a lot of success prior to this
everywhere.
With other South Dakota teams.
Yeah, he's taken Watertown to the Dome. He took Rapid City Central to the Final Four for the first time in their school's history. He's won at Aberdeen Central. He's won in Texas. He's been on the staff at University of Houston with Andre Ware. I mean, he's won everywhere he's been, and he's bringing that culture to Stevens now.
All right, Raiders get their first win tonight. Game 2 of the Rushmore Bowl in Rapid City. They played about half of this game in the rain, but Aberdeen Central took that loss to Washington. Rapid City Central, that close game with Harrisburg last week, but some defense early on here, no scoring in the first quarter.
And Austin Huff finds the big man, literally the big man, 6'8", and tips over into the end zone. Reese Burkhardt cracks open the scoring, but then Wyatt Jungcloss comes back and 2 consecutive touchdowns for Rapid City Central, give them the lead. This is Jeremy Weedman. They could not convert the PATs though, and that would come back to haunt them.
Weedman, bye-bye. 12-6 Cobblers. But Aberdeen Central comes right back with a big play answer. Dylan Stabner bounces loose and scores.
I talked to Mitch Krantz. He was not supposed to play this game. Dylan Stabner got hurt last week, had to come out of the game. And he comes out and does things like this.
Aberdeen Central had the lead at halftime, and then Huff to Sam Rolfs, just a sophomore. Aberdeen Central leads at 20-12, but Rapid City Central not done yet. That is Meisman over the middle. He gets picked off here, but
Avery Bad Moccasin comes up with the pick, but they held tough on D, and right before the end of the third quarter, and I mean right before, Jeremy Weedman finds Wyatt Junkloss.
The direct snap and the connection there. Second touchdown for Junkloss. 2-point was no good. It was 20-18, and then Aberdeen Central had it first and goal at the 5. They ended up fumbling there. Cobblers got it back, but they get picked off on the last play of the game, and the final is 20-18 as Aberdeen Central hangs on to win it.
I give Austin Huff a lot of credit because both of their running backs went out of the game. They had to put in sophomore running back. Hansen did a good job running, but Austin Huff kept this game together for Aberdeen Central.
Yeah, Golden Eagles fighting a lot of injuries even after the first week of the season, but they even out now at 1-1. Rapid Central, a couple of tough early season losses. Lost by a touchdown last week to Harrisburg, and by a 2-point conversion here as Rapid Central drops to 0-2. All right, here's one of the 11 AA against 11A games that were on the docket tonight. Pierre, the defending 11 AA champions, at West Central. West Central came back to beat Custer last week, and great run early here by Derek Eidsness for the Trojans, and they were moving, but they could not put points on the board even when they got close here, and then Pierre took over. Garrett Stout is the quarterback this year. McGuire Rasky is one of his receivers, and they hooked it up plenty tonight. 7-0 Govs. Stout on a touchdown run to make it 13-0.
You know, we talk a lot about Garrett Stout because he puts up the numbers, but every time I watch highlights, I see that Pierre offensive line just moving people out of the way.
West Central cuts it in half though. Tyler Lundberg, this is Eidsness, who had that run early on. He gets the touchdown, 13-6. But one play on this drive for the Governors. Stout to Rasky again to make it 20-6.
Yeah, McGuire Rasky caught a couple passes in this game. He's their starting running back, but I'll tell you what, he's very versatile in this offense.
They've got Andrew Coverdale as a receiver as well. Look at that throw by Stout to make it 27-6. And then Stout, his 4th touchdown pass of the game to Matt Lusk. 34-6 at halftime, and the Governors get another Rasky touchdown. They are off to a 2-0 start. Stout with 4 touchdown passes and 1 on the ground for Pierre in this one.
Yeah, they did their job. They came in to Hartford, playing one of the tougher teams in 11A, but absolutely taking care of business.
All right, another 11 AA, 11A matchup, and this one went the other way. You got Mitchell at Sioux Falls Christian. Both teams coming in at 1-0 on the season. And Sioux Falls Christian quarterback this year, John Overby.
So we got a
Zach Whitty.
New coach, new philosophy. They ran one in there, but you see, they love to throw the ball, but there's a team that can run the ball.
Yeah, Mitchell's been good on the ground so far. Austin Kerr with a touchdown. Colonels go up 7-6, and then Kerr to Carter Jacobson, nice grab. And Mitchell with a 14-6 lead on the road, but 20 seconds left in the half here, and a great catch by Whitty going out of bounds.
That guy's going to be a college star.
Mitchell still had the lead 14-12 at halftime, but they're up 17-12. Chargers take the lead though. Noah Van Steedham had a couple of second half touchdown catches. 2-point conversion was good here. Christian takes the lead at 20-17. And then about 10 minutes left in the game, after Mitchell got an interception, Kerr dropped it, he picked it back up, and he scores. So the Colonels go back to the lead 23-20. But under 5 minutes to go, Christian goes back ahead. Overby to Van Steedham, who spins and scores. He had 6 catches, and Sioux Falls Christian in a back-and-forth affair knocks off Mitchell 26-23.
That's a huge win, not only for the class, for that school, Sioux Falls Christian, who has gone through a lot of changes philosophically, coach-wise, quarterback-wise, player-wise, and to come out and fight through and come back and get a win. It's huge.
4 touchdown passes for John Overby in the win for the Chargers. 11 AA straight across the board here. Madison at Canton. Madison at 1-0 after that close win over to Dakota Valley last week. Canton had that close loss to T. Tyler Tappy is the QB for Madison. This one goes 81 yards to Carter Bergheim, who was not one of their well-known receivers coming
Jacob
in.
Ogebrunner, Mason Avery, both huge numbers last year, but here he comes.
Shane Scheit is a monster at running back for Canton. Goes 32 yards there, ties it 7-7. And then Canton's next drive, Scheit going around the left end, and the Seahawks have a 14-7 lead.
This is a team, they've got a lot of different weapons.
Madison right back though. Tappy, this is Bergheim again.
How about that? Huge play, huge night for Bergheim.
14-14 at halftime. Third quarter, Tappy to Mason Avery to give the Bulldogs the lead. And then Madison had an interception from Brock Minert. 2 plays later, Trey Smith with a touchdown. The Dogs go up 27-14. They went up 34-14. Caden Verley had a kickoff return for a touchdown to keep Canton close, but Verley was held to negative rushing yards.
There's the game within the game.
By Madison's defense tonight.
We're talking Caden Verley, the best player in 11A, Caden Verley.
And Madison shut him down tonight. Tappy, you see there, over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns as Madison is off to a 2-0 start. 11B, Jandy, Sioux Valley at Bridgewater-emery Ethan, Sparky Anderson Field. He was born in Bridgewater. He's an old Major League Baseball manager for our younger viewers. And pretty much all BEE here. That's Brady Hawkins. They're do everything, man. 39-yard run there. That sets up a Jonah Hofer touchdown.
Yeah, Hofer had a big night. He ran a couple in. He had a couple interceptions. Bridgewater-emery Ethan kind of flexing in this game.
And some defense here from the Seahawks as well. Sioux Valley trying to get that punt away. Josh Barcher is on it for Bridgewater. And that leads to a Brady Hawkins touchdown run.
Yeah, 185 yards in the ground for the quarterback. He's going to go to SDSU to play baseball. But I tell you what, I think he can play football. He can play any sport he wants.
Hawkins and Hofer are the big guns for Bridgewater-emery Ethan. Hofer again here to make it 20-0 at halftime.
Yeah, this Sioux Valley team was on the up and come, but they just ran into a different league when they played in Bridgewater.
Sioux Valley, Parker Pitts here hooks it up with Jackson Schiller, but that led to another interception. Bodie Burnham with an interception for Madison. And a nice play there, and Bridgewater-emery Ethan rolls in this one. Hofer had 2 interceptions to go along with his rushing touchdowns. One of them was a pick 6, so Hawkins and Hofer lead Bridgewater-emery Ethan to a 3-0 start.
Yeah, and they're in a really tough class this year. A lot of good teams. Winter played their, awesome tonight. St. Thomas More beat a AA team. They're going to have to keep this up all season long.
One other game we didn't have highlights of, Jandy, Yankton, Dakota Valley in another one of those 11AA, 11A matchups. Dakota Valley beat Yankton tonight by a final of 46-34.
It was a high-scoring game. Cooper Cornerman came out throwing well again, but this Dakota Valley team, I'm telling you what, they have a lot of athletes, and they came close last week to getting one on the road against Madison, but this week they got it done at home against Yankton.
Yeah, 11A did well for itself tonight in those matchups against the bigger schools. All right, when we come back, zone coverage. We'll go back to Jody in North Dakota and some coach comments as well from North Dakota and South Dakota when we come back.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Avera Orthopedics, South Dakota State University, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. Time for zone coverage, where we get some post-game reaction from the winning coaches in North Dakota and South Dakota tonight. And let's go back up to West Fargo and Jody Norstedt with some North Dakota post-game reaction. Jody?
Yeah, and I think, you look back to last week, Bismarck Century came out and they just thumped Davies right off the bat. It was ended up being a blowout, but Davies ended up scoring a few points late just to kind of make it not look so bad, made it 38-15, but they were a little bit embarrassed in that game, but they had an opportunity the next week, which is this week, to come back against another top 5 rated team and show that this Davies team can contend this year. And they end up beating Mandan tonight 36-26, getting things back on track. And Jason Thiel just likes the response from his guys after taking one on the chin in the opening week.
We talked about all week getting back to being physical, being a pound the ball football team. We thought we had some things we could take advantage of with the way their defense played, and I'm very proud of our guys across the board. It's just not just the old line. I thought our running backs blocked really, really well. Backs ran hard. It was a great win for us.
So you have Cheyenne and Davies. I think in the preseason I kind of picked those two as the leaders in the EDC. But now you have Shanley sitting there at 2-0. You have Fargo South playing well right here off the bat. They're ranked number 3 in state, off to a 2-0 start. And South and Shanley, one of those teams is going to have their first loss next week with those two teams going head-to-head. But will Shanley contend? They return a lot of experience. They returned a lot of experience on the offensive line, but it was a little bit uncertain with the playmakers because they graduated a lot from that state championship winning team. But they have a bunch of track stars, guys, and Troy Mattern is figuring out a way to get the ball into the hands of his track standouts.
I really like our athleticism. You know, we were able to get a lot of guys in different spots in space, and they made plays, and that's what you got to do when you have athletic kids, is just try to get them in space and make things happen. I thought tonight our playmakers stepped up and did really well.
So it's all about speed right now for the Deacons. And out west, I mean, obviously we talked about the surprise of the night. Bismarck now 0-2 to start the season. It's just that senior class was so good last year off that state championship winning team. So that's how things kind of lay out in Class 3A right now. Beulah had a big win over Devil's Lake that we didn't have highlights of, but 3-4 in the state there. St. Mary's, they got back on track. Hillsborough Central Valley rolled the guys, but not too many surprises in Class A and 9, man, that we can speak of tonight.
Yeah, good win for Grand Forks Red River tonight. Thanks a lot, Jody.
Yeah, thanks, Jody.
North Dakota. We'll see you next week, bud.
See you then.
All right, back in South Dakota, Jason. Let's run down some coach comments. Rapid City, Stevens. They got their first win tonight, 40-12 over Watertown in the Rushmore Bowl.
Yeah, and a new coach in town, Steve Swenson. He's been trying to turn the culture around. He knows it doesn't happen quickly, but a win like this really helps turn things around, and he credits the way the defense played.
I thought our defensive coaches did a good job of scheming Watertown this week. Great job of getting pressure. I thought we played more physical tonight than we did last week, and that's something that we have to continue to do. We've talked about that all week long, you know, and that was one of the things I worried about with our football team is, are we physical enough? And they kind of responded tonight in answering that question. You know, the other thing we got to do is we got to cut down the mistakes. I thought we moved the ball well, but we got ourselves in the red zone, and we just kind of made a few mistakes that we shouldn't have made.
And still scored 40 points.
That's what I mean. They score 40 points. He knows they have playmakers at the wideouts, but for them to come out defensively and improve so much of what they did last week, giving up all those points and all those yards on the ground to O'Gorman, I think that spells a lot that they're going the right direction.
All right, Stevens with a win tonight. Back in Sioux Falls, it was Sioux Falls Roosevelt over Sioux Falls Lincoln 35-17.
Yeah, and Kim Nelson keeps on rolling along here. 2 big games right out of the chute for O'Gorman, and they've got another big game next week. Let's hear what Kim Nelson had to say after this intra-city win.
You know, sometimes we can stop ourselves. We got to eliminate that. I was happy that we just had, I think, just 1 turnover tonight and very few penalties. That just shows that we're playing hard, playing clean most of the time, and that our guys kind of understand that. So, you know, we just got to keep getting better. This time of the year, it's all about playing 1 game at a time, and everybody's in the same boat. Happy to be 2-0. Can't wait to play next week and see where we are.
And they get O'Gorman next week, right?
I believe so. They have a President's Bowl game, and unless I got my... I don't know anything for sure right now, but I'm pretty sure they are.
But he always talks about 8, 9, 10 on his defense, and those guys were great again tonight. The Kusler twins and Brandon, Dan, and Bring, all I think were double-digit tackles, and they were great defensively.
Yeah, that's a huge component that they don't have a weakness in any of their position groups this year.
Absolutely. All right, Harrisburg is off to a 2-0 start as they move up to 11-3A this year. They beat Washington. It was in Harrisburg, but Harrisburg wins it 28-15.
I remember saying at the beginning of the year, looking at their schedule, saying, they could be 2-0 at the beginning of the year. And look at that, they are. I've got a lot wrong too. But Coach White talked to us after the game, and he's got a really unique team this year, and he's done well so far.
I'm just extremely proud of this group. You know, we've been trying to build something here for quite some time. I've been here 10 years now, and there's a lot of good moments, but this one's probably at the pinnacle right now for us, and we got to use this as momentum, and we got to get next week because this one isn't as big if you take a week off and not win that next one.
And they defensively, they were good. Washington is a little down offensively. They just didn't get much cranking tonight. They got the 2 touchdown runs from Luke Behrens, but they through the air. Thompson had some yards for Washington, but Harrisburg held them off enough to get a 28-15 win.
He hit the nail on the head. This is a huge win for Harrisburg to beat a team like Washington. But you're right. Washington up front defensively. Up front offensively, pretty big. Up front defensively, a lot of new pieces. So they're really need to solidify that defensive line, and they need to find 1 or 2 playmakers on offense who can just go off, which is not easy to do. Still a very good Warrior team. huge win for those rotating dual quarterbacks.
Harrisburg is scaring people right now. They just keep getting better and better every year, and they beat Washington tonight. All right, Pierre, the defending champions in 11AA, go to West Central in one of those 11AA, 11A matchups, and Pierre wins 46-6 tonight.
Yeah, and Steve Steele has done such a great job at Pierre. I mean, he's changed things around. I mean, not that he had to change things around because Jason Poppinga left it in a pretty good spot, but he has just continued to roll for this team in Pierre, and this was a big test for them to go on the road and play West Central. Here's Steve Steele after the game.
You know, I just think the number one thing our guys do is they really want to be good, and not just good, they want to be great, you know, and they do what it takes in order to be that. And, you know, all week during practice, you know, they have a really good focus about them. They work hard, and, you know, like I said, they watch so much film. Our guys know just as much as our coaches do for every play offensively and defensively.
And they're in a good run of talent right now. They've had really good quarterbacks the last 4 or 5 years and a lot of talent.
For sure. And last year was maybe the year that they would be down a little bit, and they won it all. So, and they got everybody back. And I still talk about that. The offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in the state, regardless of class. Pierre's done a great job of moving people out of the way.
All right, Governors are 2-0. And finally, Sioux Falls Christian moves up to 11A this year, and they hosted Mitchell tonight in another one of these cross-country matchups.
Yeah.
Sioux Falls Christian beats Mitchell 26-23.
Yeah, Jake Pettengill took over, really put Sioux Falls Christian on the map. He steps down. Jared Smith steps up, brings a whole new offense in, a whole new group of players, and get a huge win. Here's Jared Smith after the ball game.
Our O-linemen, they won us this game. Our quarterback, we knew he'd have to make some really good reads. And he did that too for us on some really good plays that came late in the game.
Overby was really good at quarterback. Overby to Whitty was the connection there for Christian tonight, and they're off to a 2-0 start.
Great start for them. It's in another very tough class, so they've got a lot more tests, a lot more hurdles coming up.
Yeah, 11A is always brutal. All right, when we come back, we got the rundown. One big play from all of tonight's games that we had a camera at, and we'll get you set for some Saturday college football here on Midco Sports Network. Tonight, 41-8.
Oh, Brady Hawkins and Jonah Holford leading their team.
Pierre is 2-0. They go to West Central and beat the Trojans 46-6. Garrett Stout, 4 touchdown passes tonight. Mitchell on the road, loss at Sioux Falls Christian. Christian off to a 2-0 start.
Yeah, Sioux Falls Christian proves they belong in the rankings in 11A.
Harrisburg at home. They get out to a 21-0 lead and knock off Washington 28-15.
So happy after that win for Harrisburg, one of the biggest in their program's history.
Number 1 Roosevelt rolls. Nave with a touchdown run here as they beat Lincoln 35.
A couple weeks in a row that their running game is doing some damage.
Madison over CANTON tonight, 34-21. Tyler Taffy, 3 touchdown passes for the Bulldogs. Aberdeen Central hangs on at Rapid City Central to win it 20-18.
Reese Burkhart with one of the touchdowns, a nice win for Aberdeen Central.
The Raiders from Stevens, their first win. Michael Norman, 3 touchdown grabs.
Yeah, he's back. He had 1 touchdown all of last year, 3 tonight.
North Dakota, West Fargo Cheyenne off to a 2-0 start.
That's huge. Just get out in the East and get out ahead. Here's another team from the East that's doing well.
Shanley moves up this year. They are 2-0. They beat Jamestown this evening, 44-27. Fargo South is off to a 2-0 lead. Flomo with a couple of touchdown grabs tonight as they beat Legacy. It was Davies 36-26 over Mandan.
Tough win. That's a tough win for Fargo Davies and a huge win bouncing back after last week's loss to Century.
Grand Forks Red River knocks off Bismarck. Bismarck is 0-2. Red River, big win for them as they get to 1-1. Oaks rolls over Hatton-Northwood in North Dakota, 43-14 tonight. Thompson moves up to 11-man football this year. They're off to a 2-0 start with a 34-9 win.
No problem for the Tommies.
It was Mayport with a win over Hankinson tonight in a 100-point game, 54-36.
Yeah. They had the game ball winner last week, and they might get it again this week, Tom.
All right, Jandy, Dakota Bowl is coming up in Sioux Falls on Saturday.
Brandon Valley taking on O'Gorman. You don't get many bigger matchups early in the season than that. O'Gorman has won 3 Dakota Bowls in a row, but Brandon Valley has beaten O'Gorman 2 times in a row. Something's got to give.
All right, college football on Midco Sports Network on Saturday. Augustana is at home against Upper Iowa, and then South Dakota State at home at 6 o'clock. We will see you then. See you next week.